When we think of Soviet architecture, we often think about these huge, blocky, brutalist, and minimalist buildings that were meant to rapidly house a growing urban population. But some of us might instead think of something like this. Welcome back to the second episode of Back in the USSR. While the last one focused on Tuva, a super overlooked region that had a lot of Soviet history involved in it, today I want to take a look at some architecture. This is a topic that's seen a little more attention, especially from vloggers who actually went to see these themselves. Perhaps someday I'll get to do that when it's a little easier for us American folk. But I wanted to take some time to dive into what is known as the Seven Sisters of Moscow. So first off, what exactly are the Seven Sisters? Well, essentially it's just 7 very specific buildings that fall within Moscow, and they require a little bit of an introduction. So it's a little known fact that Stalin had a type of architecture named after him. This ran from about 1933 to 1955, until Nikita Khrushchev dissolved what was known as the Academy of Architects. Locally, this is known as Stalinsky Vysotsky. This is seen in all 7 of the sisters, which were constructed in the time from about 1947 to 1957. And you'll definitely notice a pattern in them. Many people describe them as having a bit of a wedding cake look, combining Russian Baroque and Gothic style with a center that tends to come into the point of a bit of a crown, and that descends into large bases. However, this actually goes back to the early 1930s as industrialization, urbanization, and central planning became a huge priority for the Soviet government, considering they were at the time lagging behind the West and had a pretty aggressive neighbor whom you may have heard of. The Palace of the Soviets was to kickstart this, but it never saw fruition as said aggressive neighbor helped spearhead the Second World War, which as we know now saw a lot of destruction in the USSR. Thus, this was all put on hold until after the victory with new motivation. You see, the nation now drastically called for rebuilding. Stalin believed that they should do this with the intent of updating the cities to look more modern to match cities of the Western allies who had fought with them in the war. Thus, he took a personal interest in all 7 of the buildings and stated that if Westerners traveled to Moscow, they would see that Moscow lacked the skyscrapers that Western cities of capitalist countries had, which would be humiliating. So he would turn to some of the top architects in the Union, hoping to build some skyscrapers that would make Moscow into a more modern city on par with West Europe and the USA. In fact, these architects did take some inspiration from the United States, namely the Empire State Building in New York City. Not counting the pre-war palace of the Soviets, there were actually supposed to be 8, but the Zarechny administrative building was never completed. This is partially due to the lack of resources and the inability to build 32 stories on the softer Moskva River bank. This briefly held a hotel in its place called the Nishkaya Hotel, but was later turned into a park, Park Zarechny, which still sits today. But enough about the buildings that did not get built. What about the ones that did? This little background out of the way, the 7 sisters include Moscow State University, Hotel Ukraina, the Leninskaya Hotel, the Hotel Nishkaya Embankment, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Kurinskaya Square building, and the Red Gates Administrative Building. All but one of these adorned a unique star on the top, so stick around to find out which one didn't. So we'll kick this off with Moscow State University. This is the largest of the 7, designed by Lev Rudenev, built between 1949 and 1953. Until 1990, this was the tallest building in all of Europe, before Germany surpassed it with the Messeturm. Its central tower reaches an astounding 240 meters with 4 extended wings that each sport a clock like the central tower. There are 6,000 rooms in the wings alone, being student dormitories with the ability to house around 30,000 students at 36 floors. It was made with 40,000 tons of steel and 175 million bricks, primarily with granite from Ukraine and marbles from Georgia and Uzbekistan. This was the second one to be completed, built by 14,000 workers, primarily prisoners and German POWs. Adorning it are statues of workers and farmers, and originally someone proposed a Stalin statue, but he shot the idea down and ordered a spire instead. Pumps and pipes were installed to continually push water away from the building's foundation to keep it upright. Inside, it still has a concert hall, cafes, hair salons, a post office, plenty of classrooms and student quarters, and even a swimming pool. Next we'll take a gander at Hotel Ukraina, which is another one with 2 U-shaped wings that each have 2 towers adorning the ends, complete with wheat sheaves and other Soviet symbolism. Built by Arkady Mordvinov and Vyacheslav Otrashevsky, this is 206 meters tall with 32 levels, making it the second largest of the 7 sisters. When completed in 1957, it would be Europe's tallest hotel, able to hold 1,630 people. This is built with limestone, granite, and white ceramic blocks, and commemorates the 300th anniversary of merging of Russia and Ukraine. That's how we all saw how that ended up, am I right? It got that name in 1954 by Nikita Khrushchev because of this, which is also when he would hand over the Crimean Peninsula to Ukraine from Russia. Wow, so much stuff aged so wonderfully. On the inside, you can find 1,200 paintings by famous Soviet artists, as well as a winter garden and fountain on the second floor. Hotel Ukraina is also known for its unique fire safety system, which uses a chute that opens in the event of a fire for folks to slide down. The building would unfortunately fall into disrepair after Soviet collapse until Radisson Hotels bought it and renovated everything. Today it now serves as a hotel and as a residential apartment building, and there's a viewing platform on the 33rd floor. As a fun little fact, actor Robert De Niro was once a guest here. Hey, we may as well look at another hotel while we're at it. The Leninskaya Hotel. Completed in 1952, or 54, my sources gave two different years, this one owes itself to Leonid Polyakov and Alexander Boretsky, reaching a height of 136 meters with 26 floors. Obviously, it was named after Vladimir Lenin, much like the city and province of Leningrad, and it's unique for having the most Russian-looking features, namely the tinted porch over the entrance. It's got a red tint to it, how fitting, but its interior may hold some of the most impressive features. It once held a Guinness World Record for one of the tallest chandeliers in the world, the main one hanging in the lobby running 7 stories. Moreover, you'll find lots of statues, bronze chandeliers, stained glass, and painted ceilings. There's even a ballroom. After the Soviet collapse, this one was swept up by Hilton Hotels, and it costs upwards of $1,300 per night to stay in the presidential suite. Oh boy, here we go. Hotel Nishkaya Embankment. Dmitry Chechulin was the man in charge of this one, being Moscow's chief architect, setting it at the meeting of the Moskva and Yalza rivers, and it reaches 176 meters with 32 floors. 26 of those floors were intended as apartments, while the rest were offices for administrators. Built using some prison labor like the university, one of my sources say that this was completed in 1940 and another says 1952, which is a pretty drastic range, so as usual, both sources are in the description. Its central tower is hexagonal, with 3 wings shooting out of it, complete with arches, columns, and spiked ornaments to decorate the towers. This would become prime space for multifamily living areas, considering the apartments are larger, and it was also used for meteorological observation, housing plenty of weather equipment as well. Additionally, it housed a lot of celebrities and scientists, of course Communist Party members, and it came complete with a post office, restaurant, cinema, and even a massage parlor. For that reason, it has been called a city within a city. Ah, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the only one that doesn't adorn a star at the top since its spire wasn't strong enough. It does, however, support a massive USSR crest on the front at 144 square meters, which remains to this day. Designed by V.G. Gelfrich and M.A. Minkus, this one reaches 172 meters with 27 floors, completed in 1953. It's made of red and gray granite with ceramic blocks and limestone, somewhat reflecting English Gothic styles. 2 wings jut out from the central tower, with each having a square tower of their own, and it obviously houses all the offices of the Foreign Affairs Ministry. Shocking, I know. On the inside, you'll find plenty of Soviet art, using marble, granite, and of course, stained glass. Interestingly, the spire is now a different color, built with a metal frame, as it was Stalin's personal choice to add that. Now, I don't know how true this part is, as weird rumors like this float around Soviet history all the time, but apparently the architect didn't like that and requested Khrushchev to later remove it, which he denied. Moving forward, we get to the Kurinskaya Square building, which is named as such due to its 4 corners built to hold food places open to all. However, the main function was to house Soviet cultural leaders with apartments on the more luxurious side. This was the work of Mikhail Posotkin and Ashat Mdoyets, finished in 1954 at 160 meters and 25 floors. Considering its luxurious status, it included an underground car park, a cinema, ice cream parlor, and the city's largest grocery store. Its exterior is decorated with statues, rosettes, ornate towers on each corner, and the interior is full of stained glass, marble floors, chandeliers, and Greek columns. Due to its location near the U.S. Embassy, it's said the construction of that saw relocation of citizens in the top floors to make room for KGB agents to spy on those filthy imperialists. This actually featured a bomb shelter in the event of the Cold War turning not so cold. Like some of the others, this fell in disrepair after Soviet dissolution. However, there have been efforts made to restore it, and while some places became cramped one-room apartments, others have become extremely expensive. And lastly, we have the Red Gates Administrative Building. Depending on the source, this was finished between 1951 and 1953 at 138 meters with 26 floors. The mastermind here was Alexei Dushin, being another U-shaped one with offices in the central tower and apartments in the two wings. Now, this architect is known for designing some of Moscow's most impressive metro stations, so it only makes sense that this includes one in its right wing known as Krasny Vrota that also has a retail shopping space. In the left wing, it includes a daycare center, and one might notice that the building looks tilted to one side. This is because the frame was designed to compensate for frozen soil underneath, and when that soil thawed, the building didn't settle quite as perfectly as they had measured. Nonetheless, this did not cause any issues. It has a limestone facade adorned with cornices as it goes up, and a main entrance made of red granite. Fun fact, this is the smallest of the 7. And there we have it, all of the 7 sisters. Which one is your favorite of the 7 sisters? Have you seen any of these? Do I have any Russian followers or folks of Russian descent who have stories involving these? I'd be thrilled if you left a comment for me. Until we speak again, comrades.